You don't drift downward all at once. You drift to your standard. If you're still waiting for someone to motivate you, close this now. This episode is about one thing: what it costs you to keep running like this. This is Iron Suits, where strength wears a crown. I am Marwan. Not burnout, not stress, depletion. No, actually, no, not even that word. Not in the way that most people use it. This is a quiet kind, a kind that doesn't show up anywhere anyone can see. The kind that doesn't cost you the deal, just a version of you that used to close it differently. The kind you've learned to work around without naming it. You don't feel it as a crisis. You feel it as Tuesday. And that's a problem. You build something real, a company, a team, a reputation that took years of decisions, most of them right, to build. You know how to read the room, how to hold a position when the pressure comes, how to stay composed when everything around you is moving fast. From the outside, you're doing well. And yet, there are moments, you know which ones? You're sitting in the meeting, not distracted, not disengaged, and you're just slightly behind yourself. You shift in your seat, not because you're uncomfortable, because something is off and you can't name it. The thought that used to arrive clean takes longer. The read you used to make automatically now needs a pull. You sit there and you know, not loudly, you don't let things be loud, but you know, the energy you used to bring into a room, the kind that didn't need announcing, you're managing it now, conserving it, deciding where it goes, getting through the day, not owning it. And somewhere in a place you don't visit for long, there's a quiet thing that this isn't what it used to feel like. You tell yourself it's fine. You tell yourself that you don't fully believe it. That quiet thing, that's not fatigue. It's not age. That's a standard you've quietly stopped holding. And you already know that. You already know. You just haven't said it yet. Let me walk you through a day. Not a bad one, a normal one. You're up, you move, coffee, phone, numbers, on calls by 8, 9, first 2, 3 hours. You're sharp. Decisions come clean. Then something shifts. It's subtle, really subtle. Around 11, there's a drag. Not exhaustion, just resistance. Like a door that used to open easily. Now that now needs a push. And your hands move toward the coffee before you've even thought about it. before you've decided, not because you decided to, because it always does now. You noticed that at some point. You noticed and you kept moving. Afternoon, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. This is where it matters. The decisions that actually shape things, the ones with real weight, they don't happen when you're fresh. They happen here and here. What are you running on? Momentum, habit, who you've been long enough that people don't question it. Not capacity. A tired man doesn't make slower decisions. He makes worse ones. And the danger part is he doesn't know it because he's built enough that even a lesser version of him still functions, still delivers, still sits on the head of the table and holds the room. But functioning is not what got you here. And somewhere in you, you know the difference. You've just gotten very good at not saying it. Here's what you're not saying out loud. You're not as sharp as you used to be. Not dramatically, not in a way anyone's named, but you know. You feel it in their slight delay, in the decisions you let sit when you used to move on them immediately, in the conversations you stop scheduling late in their day, not because your diary is full, because you know what you like by 4 o'clock. You know. You know. You know. You've known for a while. You build a whole week around that. Think about that for a second. You didn't call it, actually, let me say that differently. You called it being strategic with your time. That's not, no, that's not what it is. That's depletion management. And you've gotten so clean at the workaround that no one around you has seen it. But you have. You look up in the middle of the conversation just for a half second and you're not fully in it. You pull yourself back. Nobody saw that. You did. You felt it. You felt it. You felt it and you kept going. Just not enough to do anything about it. And then you go home. And the version of you that walks through that door, it's not the same one that was sharp at 9. Not the same one that existed before this became the permanent level. You're present. You're not there. You sit at the table and part of you is still somewhere else. On the call tomorrow, on the thing left unfinished, on nothing you can name. Someone says something and you respond a beat too late. Just a beat. You give the people across the room from you what's left. You know that's what you're doing. You know, you don't say it. That's the part that's actually costing you. Not the deal, not the quarter, that. There's a difference between being in a room and filling it. You used to fill it. Now you occupy it. You felt that shift. You felt it and you didn't name it. You run your company like it matters. You run yourself on whatever's left. Systems for revenue, systems for people, systems for the thing that loses money, systems for the thing that might, the thing that produces all of it. You run on habit and hope and a second coffee. You wouldn't let your business operate without knowing what's driving it. You don't know what's driving you right now. And the part that sits quietly, you've known that for a while. No one's calling you out on it. That's what makes it worse. The same man who won't accept vague answers from his team accepts vague performance from himself, holds everyone around him to a standard, quietly exempts himself from it. Not a leadership problem, not a health problem, just what's true. And you already know it. Let me make this uncomfortable. You hold your team to a standard. Show up, prepared, be sharp, don't coast. What standard are you holding yourself to? Not in business, in the body running the business. Because you've accepted a version of yourself performing at 70%, and you've given that version a reason, a season, a phase, a temporary thing. The temporary thing has been going on for 3 years. And the part you don't say is that you know that number, 70%. You felt it. You just decided not to name it. That's the part you skip past. Every morning, you optimize a business, you run yourself on fumes and call it discipline. The most expensive thing in your company is you. And you've been running it without a system. Take travel. You fly, cabin, hours, disrupted sleep, dinner that runs late because the relationship needs it. A drink, maybe two, early call. You perform. You always perform. But you catch yourself just for a second in the hotel mirror before you leave the room. You don't stop. You adjust the jacket. You move. But you saw something. That half second and you looked away. That's where it lives. The performance that day, it reads the same from the outside. Delivered, professional, sharp enough. But you felt the difference. The deal you didn't fully evaluate because you were running low and you wouldn't name it that. A decision you made because resistance felt too much. Felt like too much. A conversation you put off until you got home and then put off again. These aren't catastrophic. They're just less than what they could have been. And they compound quietly, invisibly, in the direction you don't fully want to look at it. Fatigue doesn't announce itself, it negotiates, makes the suboptimal feel reasonable, makes avoidance feel like patience, makes a softer call feel like wisdom. And you're sharp enough that you can justify almost anything. You think you're making a judgment call. You're making a depleted one. You felt that. That moment after where something in you wasn't sure enough to go back. Just enough to notice. You noticed. You kept moving. Here's where most men at your level land. I just need rest. No. No, that's not it. Rest doesn't rebuild this. It maintains the floor. It doesn't raise anything. You wake up from a good night's sleep and you're still running the same system. It's a busy season. This is the season now. What you've built, the weight of it, the exposure, the decisions that never fully stop. This isn't a phase. This is the level. And the version of you running it hasn't kept up with it. I'll sort it when things calm down. How long have you been saying that? Don't answer out loud. Just sit with that number. Because that number is the cost. Things don't calm down at this level. They evolve. They expand. The man who waits for stillness is waiting for the door that doesn't exist. The question was never when. The question is what you've already left behind while you waited. Here's what this actually is. One standard for the business, one standard for the team, one standard for the output, and a quieter, lower standard for the man producing all of it. You exempt yourself from the criteria you apply everywhere else. Every standard, one exemption, you. And the part you don't say, the part that sits under everything, is that you know that's an exemption. You know it. You know it. You know it doesn't match who you've decided you are. You just haven't closed the gap. The man who built what you built didn't build it by quietly lowering the bar when it got hard. He held it when no one was watching, when there was no reward for holding it, when the easier version was right there. Somewhere that changed. Not in the moment you can name, it just changed. It changed. It changed quietly. Change in a direction that you didn't announce, and you felt it. In the mirror, you don't hold for long. In the photo where the posture said something you didn't like. In the shirt you pulled at before walking into the room. Not for how it looked, for something else. You noticed, and you didn't say anything. That's where it lives. You don't drift upwards. You drift to your standard. You already know this. You've known it for a while now. Run like this long enough, something changes. Not all at once, not in the moment you can point to, just gradually. The way a room gets darker before you notice, the light has changed. The precision that used to come automatically starts requiring effort. The read that used to be instinct becomes something you have to work for. A steadiness in a hard conversation costs something now. And you don't feel degraded. You feel normal. Because this became normal slowly enough that you adjusted without noticing you were adjusting. That's a part that should sit with you. The people across the table, the ones who've seen you at your best, they fear it. Not consciously. They're not running assessments. They fear it. The room that used to shift when you walked in doesn't shift the same way. They don't say anything. They won't. But you felt it too. The rooms that used to be easy, that now need something from you. You're not managing energy. You're managing decline. And you've gotten very good at making it look intentional. That's a part that should concern you. The thing most men at your level carry is that what's happening in the body is a separate problem, a private problem, something to handle later when the business allows it. That's a belief that's costing you. There is no separate problem. The clarity you bring to a hard decision, the presence in a room, the ability to read what's not being said, that's produced by something, by the same body you're running on guesswork and yesterday's sleep, and the third thing you've had to drink today. You can't hollow one out and expect the other not to feel it. The cost just comes quietly enough that you attribute it to other things. The market, the moment, the team. Not you, not the machine. Your body isn't a side issue. It's the thing everything runs on. And you would never let the thing everything runs on operate without a system. This isn't about how you look in a suit. It's about the quality of everything you do from here. Every decision, every room, every version of you that people encounter. Those all happen in a body. Your body. The one you haven't built a system for. You already know this. That's a part that makes it harder to sit with. So here's where this lands. You've built something real, earned what you have, done it in spite of this, not because of it. The question isn't whether you can keep going. You can. You will. That's not what this is about. The question is whether what you've been leaving on the table. Every meeting running low. Every decision made in that slightly blunter state. Every room you entered and held instead of owned. Every conversation that went softer than it needed to. Because by that point in the day, you didn't have it. These aren't catastrophic losses. They're quiet ones. And quiet losses compound. That gap got expensive. No one's keeping score but you. You've been keeping it. You've been keeping it and not saying anything. The man who started this, he didn't negotiate his standard when it got hard. He held it when it cost him something. When no one would have known if he'd let it slide. That man is still there. He's just running a system that doesn't match him anymore. And you've known that. You've known that for a while. For longer than you'll say out loud. Not because you're broken, because you're operating below what you've already shown yourself you can do. And for a man built the way you're built, that's the only cost that actually matters. There's a version of you that operates at the ceiling, not the ceiling of your industry, not the ceiling of your market, yours. The version that walks into a room and changes it before he speaks, that makes decisions clean without that slight lag you've gotten used to, that comes home and is actually there, not managing the evening in it. The version that leads from fullness, not from what's left after everything else took what it needed even. That version doesn't need a different life. It needs a different system. And the man listening to this, he already knows what it cost him not to have one. He knows. He's known for a while. He's been paying it quietly in the rooms he didn't fully own, in the people he wasn't fully present for, in the version of himself he keeps meaning to get back to. That version isn't gone. He's just been waiting. What you tolerate becomes who you are. And that's all for today. If you found this episode hit a nerve, then share it with another leader, because as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. So make sure you share it. In the words of Andy Frisella, don't be a hoe, share the show. Make sure you follow me on my socials. I am on Facebook under Marwan Killu, LinkedIn Marwan Killu Fitness. You can watch this on YouTube as well under Marwan Killu. And make sure you subscribe to the show so that you get notifications when a new episode goes live. Until another day, until another episode, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon.